Welcome to Living Your Life Well Planned, the 80-20-365 Success System with Adam Vincent Gilmer. I'm Gene Velitis, your host. Welcome to episode 25, and as we always like to tell you on these free podcasts, yes, free, make sure you get your daily planner. It's going to be the roadmap to your life, hopefully, for the entire life. It's easy to get your daily planner. Simply go to Adam's website, 80-20-365.com. And you'll be able to see where you can order your planner. Now, when you get your daily planner, you'll be using this every single day. You know, when I first took this course with Adam, I had to get really focused and, you know, sometimes in the morning, a little lazy. But once I got into it, once it became a daily habit, it was solidified. So if you want to get the most from this free podcasting course, get your daily planner. It's what you need. Okay, episode 25. Adam, welcome back to the podcast. Today we're going to be talking about something which, if you're listening to this podcast in real time, which would be the middle of October 2020, we want to talk about how to be innovative when things suddenly change your plan. And I think people had their plans changed dramatically in March of 2020 when this COVID thing went crazy and we had to shut down. Now, interestingly, and I'm so glad you're here for podcast number 25, when everything closed down, people started losing their jobs and they couldn't pay their rent and it was terrible and they were complaining about being locked down. Well, you know what? Somebody on this podcast didn't. That's Adam. He got into another business, the mask business, and probably made more and created more new businesses and jobs than anyone in the middle of a pandemic. So that's what you call high performance leadership. So Adam, let's talk about being innovative when things suddenly change in your plan, be it COVID, or maybe you lose your job, or perhaps you're an entire leg in your sales organization quits and goes to another company.
Well, good morning and good to be on the show again. Gene, good to see you now that
Great
you're Vancouver based, right? Which is great, a little change from Toronto.
Yeah, but, absolutely. Beautiful British Columbia.
I love it. Anyway, I'm going to say good morning, good evening, good afternoon. And two things before I answer the question. It's both my brother's birthdays this week. So a big shout out to my youngest brother, Connor Gilmer, and my middle brother, Bon Gilmer. You know, I know they'll be watching at some point somewhere, but at least I didn't forget their birthdays. So you're right. So, you know, what happened was late February, I was on my way back from visiting a company in Utah. And I got a text on my phone and it had said South by Southwest, which is a very, very big music organization and concert and event, was canceling. And they were canceling due to the coronavirus. So I was actually sitting in Utah airport flying back to California. And I said, man, if that's being canceled and they do some serious volume, sales-wise, business-wise, at those kinds of events, I said, man, this is going to hit the rest of the United States. And then, of course, you know, there was the shutdown of the airlines, this, that, and the other, everything else. And so I realized very quickly after watching the news that masks are going to be needed, and this new era of personal protection equipment kind of came first and forefront. And I decided, okay, I'm going to get into that space. And I jumped in. And, you know, I always recognize that what happens in an opportunity is that, you know, just because something's bad or something is not working out right, or there's an epidemic, obviously there's going to be opportunities if you look at both sides of the problem. The first side of the problem is obviously coronavirus is terrible. People are dying. It came from China or wherever. And that's terrible. Stuff shutting down. On the other side of it is like, okay, if people don't have their jobs anymore, if people don't have enough masks, if they don't have enough gloves, they don't have enough hand sanitizer, you know, and people can't get the products into the country, this presents an opportunity. And there's lots of home-based businesses that people should look at too, not just the ones that I'm in, but you know, you got to look at alternative ways to keep generating revenue for yourself, your family, your loved ones, and the people that you do business with, your business partners. You're looking for opportunities. So I jumped in, and then it just led to incredible things taking place. You know, we now are selling incredible masks. We sell 3M products. We sell hand sanitizer. We sell gloves. In fact, there's massive glove deals taking place, and I decided to go direct to the manufacturers and all this. And the reason why I went direct to the manufacturers, one of the companies I started 10 years ago, I applied to get an FDA license for food storage, and just happened to be that the FDA sent out an email saying that if you wanted to qualify for your medical device license, we could apply for that. So I went ahead and applied, and of course our company's in good standing. And a couple weeks later, I had a medical device license from the FDA to actually import all kinds of medical goods. And I jumped into that space. Now, I didn't stop my other businesses from running. What it was an add-on. I already have a very successful home-based business from utilizing the planner and being organized and being professional and working around the world and training around the world. That business still stayed intact. Which was great because we just changed from doing meetings, like flying into a city or a country to doing meetings. I mean, in 2019, I booked 400,000 plus miles, 469,000 to be exact, globally, and bounced all over the world touched every continent except for Antarctica. And this year, 2020, I went to Russia in January, Utah in February, and I've been doing Zoom calls ever since. So I recognize the opportunities that were placed in front of me, meaning that we can use Zoom, you can use your cell phone, you can use your digital business, make it a digital business, and get online and do it. And that's what we did. So I want to say that we pivoted. What we did was just recognize the opportunity. When you're hearing that places like New York and other states and what have you were crying out for help, the fact that I, had a previous FDA number and what have you, built credibility really, really fast in that space. And then I just went after that space very, very vigorously. And, it's been a life-changing event again. And, but Gene and folks listening, that's my mindset. My mindset comes from my focus every single day. Every single day I use my planner. I've got a planning system. As if somebody's been following us along the podcast or the YouTube channel or the Instagram page, wherever, it's a dedicated system. And and here's the thing, it's easy to do. It's also easy not to do. But because I think this way, and this comes from reading tons of books and, going through this and doing workshops all over the world and meeting with different groups and people and ethnicities and religious backgrounds, you tend to put yourself into focusing on certain habits. And if you look at the equation and you go into this epidemic and you're sitting at home, like, what am I going to do? Reach out to us. We know exactly where to place you in a business to make it work. And if you're looking for, other ways or alternative ways of organizing your life and getting serious during this pandemic, go get yourself a planner and get the entire system for a year. Actually, now's the perfect time. We're into the last quarter. Yes. Of the year for 2020, and you can really get the new habits down over the next 30, 60, 90 days, and then hit 2021 with like a whole fresh new outlook about what you're going to be doing. Yeah. But so Gene, I just looked at things differently.
Yeah, I love what you said, and the phrase that comes to my mind is embrace contradiction, because when this thing hit, suddenly. We're not going to get political here, but certain governments said you got to close down. A lot of businesses closed down. A lot of people went home and watched Netflix. You embrace contradiction. You didn't slow down. You didn't complain about being locked down. You embraced the contradiction of how you normally do business. You would fly into all these countries. Well, and you know what? It shows. Our podcasts have been downloaded in the United Kingdom, the Czech Republic, the Ukraine, Italy, throughout Europe, the United Arab Emirates, Canada, and of course the USA. So people all over the world where you have taught these courses all over the world are now coming back here, and they're getting their material virtually and online. So you made money while other people stayed at home watching Netflix, and it is a mind state, like you said. So, again, we're not trying to push anything down your throat. What we're saying is if you have the daily planner, it becomes the highway. And what you do every day in your exercises become the roadmaps, and it gives you direction. Now, we've talked about COVID, but what about the person, and it may be COVID related, it might not be, When we talk about being innovative, when things suddenly change in your daily plan, or you're 60 or 90, what happens when somebody suddenly loses their job? Obviously, they have to, do a reassessment and an evaluation, and probably make some changes. But we've all known people who've lost their jobs, and it's if it's only the first or second time in your life, it's dramatic. It's life changing. So, what do you do then in your planner?
Last night I went out with an investment banker and another CEO of another company. We had a family dinner, and the kids were playing, what have you. And that question actually came up, not so much about the planner, but like, people losing their jobs and what do they do? And one of the gentlemen is very, very high, invested into a big real estate portfolio. And I casually said, look, I said, it's what, 6-7 months of COVID, maybe 8 months now of COVID, and what's happened to their organization? Well, and this is the interesting thing. He found out, to answer your question, he found out that in his business, they send everybody home. They're no longer meeting, and they've got real estate business buildings where they do business. Their business located in multiple major cities here in the United States. Dallas, New York, parts of Florida, and California. And they send everybody home. And just recently, they had to have a few hundred people get laid off because they realized that the new norm is probably going to be doing what we're doing right now, okay? Being on a Zoom call, what have you. So, if you've already got the planner and, there's been a change, I think that's, God's little way of saying, hey, here's a challenge. You see how well you can step up to it and make it work. And, you've got to reassess your goals, reassess your next 30 days, your next 90 days, your next 6 months, because, nobody has the perfect answer. I mean, I hear there's a cure coming out. I hear all this other stuff. I mean, and to get political for one second, who cares? Like, if there's a cure coming out, great. If there's not a cure coming out, how is that going to change your ability to drive and make money? You have to be looking for other sources of revenue to come in. It means, let's take a quick checkup from the neck up, as Zig Ziglar would say, right? You got to maybe activate your resume. Okay, get on there and say, let's get this out there into a couple of networks. Start networking again, going through people that have contacted you, seeing what they're doing, if there's any other opportunities, if you're in a specific industry. Maybe there's a space to, they've let somebody go, maybe they're looking to hire somebody new. And you just got to get creative. And, I'd like to say that it's going to be an easy process, but, the biggest mistake that people make, Gene, the number one mistake that people make is not taking any action. In fact, many people confuse, being shy and being, introverted, okay, as that's the failure. When they didn't get up off the couch, they didn't make any plans, they didn't pick up the phone, and they consider, well, in their mind, they've tried to do something different, but they've really never done the difference. Done the difference means it's taking action. And, you're never going to know until you overturn that stone and ask the question or get out there. And when shyness holds you back, the best thing for you being shy is not to be shy anymore, because you need to be bullish and you need to go after the market. I found out last night at dinner that commercial real estate, according to this, I'm not going to get the name of the company, but I found out that commercial real estate is looking at taking a big dip, okay? Because people are not going back to their buildings where their jobs are anymore. They're going to work from home, and companies are realizing they're paying massive amounts of rent or, to house their employees in the building, and that has changed. So what that means is, and this was explained to me last night to answer the question, that real estate values in the commercial world, retail outlets, restaurants, so on and so forth, are all not worth what they used to be. So that means that there's going to be a dip in that. Now, just so you know, that creates an opportunity, Gene, which is just what we're talking about right now.
Yep.
Okay? It means that just because commercial real estate and what have you was up here at one point, and now it's taken a hit and it's going down. What it really means is that if you're a savvy investor, that means huge opportunity, because guess what's going to happen? It's all sick, runs in a circle, secular. Okay. And what's going to happen is that in the future, you're going to hear about real estate opportunities that you can get in on at maybe 25, 30 cents on the dollar, right? And then over the next 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, those properties are going to come back up in value again. As we deal with COVID, as the cure gets out there or the whatever, and or the virus gets to everybody and we recover and life gets back to normal. And what happens is a life-changing event happens if you have the wherewithal to either broker one of those deals, put something together, get involved, and then, over the next 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, ride the wave as the property values in that particular space goes up. Funny enough, we talked about the housing world as well, and single family homes, apartments, stuff like that. And this particular firm believes and is seeing an uptick in that side of the market. I'm not saying you need to become a real estate investor. It's just stuff you need to be aware of. And that means that, buying and flipping homes might be a good business. Yeah. Being in the network marketing industry is a fabulous business because I'm in that space. Being in a place where you can, affect and make change. These are the things you need to plan in your planner, because if you weren't an outgoing person, you need to change that. It's costing you maybe your dream, your lifestyle, and you need to address it. And the planner will definitely help you do that.
Yeah. You know what I love about this, and this is a question if you're listening to the podcast with Adam and me, is listen to what Adam just said about looking towards the future. And if you've been locked down or you lost your job or it's COVID related, ask yourself this question: when it's over and done with, and it will be, do you want to be ahead of the game or do you want to be playing catch up? Nobody wants to be at the back of the pack. The first Husky has the best view, trust me. So I think that's a great question. Hey, listen, you mentioned the direct sales industry. Let's address this question quickly. Our next episode, by the way, is going to be a fabulous one if you're in direct sales or multi-level marketing, which Adam and I both love. But I just wanted to address our colleagues in the direct sales business about being innovative when things go bad. We've all been in companies where we know that all of a sudden, like somebody's leg, like a whole leg, disappears because somebody has decided they're going to go to the next flavor of the month company. Usually when that happens, by the way, they fail. You want to be consistent and stay with a really, really good company. But when something like that happens, I know you've had experiences, man, so have I. What's the next steps to suddenly being innovative?
Oh, I just actually was working on a project that this actually happened in. So great question. And this company it's in the skincare space, and it's not international. It's in 4 major countries. It's not international like some of the other business I consult with. But they decided when COVID hit that they weren't going to be doing their travel incentives anymore. The car program went away. The field just got a notification that they weren't going to get paid on their 6th or 7th level. If you follow the direct sales industry, you'll know what that means. And one of the major leaders, our kids go to the same school, contacted me and it's like, I want to talk to you and pick your brain. And funny enough, they wanted to leave that company because they had given that company 14 years of life, meaning that, it had paid for lifestyle, put their kids through school, their current conditioning. And because of COVID, the situation came up, and this person decided, that's it, I'm leaving. Well, funny enough, made the decision to leave and go into another company, which I know the owners of very, very well. I'm not involved in that one company, but I help them get direct to the owners of the company. And funny enough, 7-8 days later, they received a notice that they are being put on suspension pending termination because they're moving their group and organization. So to answer your question, Gene, speaking of, a live, real scenario and situation, if I was in that company that I was losing that leg on, that would be, traumatic on one side. But once again, just because it's bad news doesn't mean that there's good news on the other side. If a company is making some massive changes and you're an independent distributor, you're not, as Jim Rohn says, you're not a tree. You're not stuck in one place. You got to, get up and get after it and make things happen. And in my current business, in my direct sales company, I've had to rebuild my sales organization 3 different times. So I don't just speak as a professional saying, listen, it's probably a good idea to move and maybe go, if you're full-time, and go and do something different. If a company's changed its compensation plan, change its way it's paying you, and you're not happy with it, maybe that's a good decision for you to go and do. On the other side of it is, if a company is going to penalize you for being an independent distributor and take something away from you, you might want to consider your loyalty for 1 second. Where else you can put yourself. And the other side of it is sometimes you have to go back into the grind, okay? And that's probably the hardest thing to do, but probably one of the best things to do, because your success story after you've gone through this period and grinding and rebuilding and rebuilding and rebuilding creates the new you, and it's a new story for your future. So you can't just look at every situation as something's good and something's bad. What you got to look at it and understand is that it's the opposite sides of the coin. You got to look at all the benefits on the one side, look at all the benefits and minuses, and then flip the coin, look at all the benefits and the minuses, and figure it out. And you're creative, for the people listening on the podcast, you're creative. I mean, you didn't just get this far in life by not having ingenuity and being creative. You've used all these tools before. What I love about our 80/20/365 planning system is that, and I say our because just like the iPhone or a Samsung Galaxy, whatever you're listening on, or your computer, when you buy that computer, it no longer belongs to like Microsoft or Apple. It now belongs to you. When you get the planning system, it's no longer, 80/20/365 Adam Vincent Gilmer. It really comes down to, you're going to practice the 80/20 principle every single day. The planner becomes yours, and you have to use it and abuse it as much as possible, just as much as you're using your computer or your phone. And it will force your brain, it will activate the creative process of the left and the right side of the brain. Left side being super organized and tidy and understanding, and right side exercising the creative side to say, let's go make something happen. Let me make those phone calls. Let me send the email. Let me get my resume together. Let me do all these things that are important of taking action and the creative process. And you're going to come out on top. Now, if you choose to sit back and do nothing and just binge listen to the channel, that's great. But, it's not going to have any massive effect in your life. It'll make you think a little bit, but you got to think, go put the plan together, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. I've actually got a book I'm rereading now, Gene. I love this book. It's called A Rich Man's Secret.
Yes.
A fantastic book. Okay. And, I'm not going to tell you the punchline in it, but here's the thing is, successful people don't watch a lot of TV. Okay. They'll sit down and read a book. Successful people don't allow crazy circumstances in their life to just shape who they are. They tackle those circumstances like the ones we're talking about, and they move their life in another direction. By the way, I've had to have many different talks with, my wife, Jessica, because when you're doing a new business, and I don't say new business, but I don't say pivoting, but you've got other deals going on, I in my other previous podcast, I talked to you about working on my first 100 million. And I'm telling you, there's a deal right behind us here that, it maybe closes Monday or Tuesday, and I will have accomplished that goal and more. And it was a goal that I set. Now, listen, it's not, these aren't easy things to do, but I'm going to tell all of you, it's completely worthwhile, because you can fail at life, or you can decide to get up again. And each failure, Gene, like COVID, like a downline leaving, like a sales organization vanishing, is a lesson. And the message to me, to you, the listener, should be, okay, what do I do to make it bigger, make it better, make it grow again? And what you realize is you have to put yourself back into the basics of all the business stuff, of all the building and the sales organizations, the exact things that we've covered in other episodes, and go and get a planner and do it. And those 7 habits of highly effective people that we've put inside the planner to have you play this 7 habits of life every single day, they'll become a good ritual habit for you, a success habit, successitudes and habitudes, and your life will be in a different place. It's not going to be the first 30 days and it's not going to be just 90 days, but the work that you put in is the seeding of the brain and allows new great things to germinate. And really, that's what we want to encourage people to do with this current situation that we're in.
You know, I really, really love this episode. Your answers were fantastic. Now, if you are in the direct selling industry, if you're in multi-level marketing, if you're in private business and you have a sales organization, what I'm going to recommend is go right to the next episode, number 26, because we're going to talk about how to generate enthusiasm within sales organizations. And this guy on the podcast beside me knows how to do it. So you're going to be getting some incredible advice, which if you hired somebody to come into your business would cost you a lot of money. This is free on the podcast because Adam always gives back. All we ask, because it makes sense and you need it, is to get the daily planner. You have to have it, and you get it by going to Adam's website, 802365.com. Thanks, Adam. Great episode. We'll see you on episode number 26. For Adam Vincent Gilmer, I'm Gene Velitis. Living your life well planned.